Welcome to the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. My guest today is Forrest Boston, personal trainer / actor. My guest host today is Shane Foster from Shane Foster After Hours, so definitely check that podcast out on Friday nights.
Hey.
Just talk a little bit about how you got into personal training.
Oh gosh, I was I'm coming up on 21 years. That was I used to teach school down in the Branson area, and my wife and I decided we wanted to move up. Both our parents were getting a little bit older in age, and so we lived in the St. Louis area, and we thought, let's move back so we can be closer to them. And she says, my wife turns to me one night and says, what was it that you would really like to do? And that kind of hit me out of left field, and I really didn't know. And I've always wanted to get my pilot's license, and I thought, well, I'd like to be a pilot.
Yeah.
But I knew that it'd take a lot of money and a lot of time to make money off of that. So I'd always kicked around being a personal trainer, so that's what I started taking schooling for. And
were you in fit then? Were you always, or have you always been in good shape?
I had
because I don't want to reveal your age, but you're quite old, but yet you look so young though.
Thank you.
You do.
Thank you. I'm 62.
Right. You don't look 62.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I was in I've been in martial arts since I was 15. So 30, 40 years, something like that in martial arts. And then I started picking up strength training about 1990, and I've been doing that ever since. And then I just made that into a career, you might say. And so, yeah, 21 years later, I'm still doing it.
Wow. So when you start getting the personal training, you start taking classes, and then
yeah, there's regional certifications, and whenever you're recommended to get a personal trainer, it's always recommended that you get someone who has a national certification. And there's so many. When I started, there was just a handful that you could go to: ACE, AFA, ACSM. And so I started with AFA, and I got a couple of certifications from them. And then I went on to ACE, which is a little bit higher level, and I got 3 certifications from them. So after I got certified, by the grace of God, the first resume I sent out, I got working for this gym. And I worked with him for about 16 years, and then I met Debbie Morris and
from Integrity. Right,
with Integrity Training Systems, and I've been with her for the past 5.
Okay,
wow.
So 21 years you've been doing the personal training. Wow,
yeah,
wow. What got you started to do some of these videos we see here that you started doing the personal training from your house?
Well, for a while I was just doing little snippets with Debbie. I'd post a personal training video like once a week. Just for like an exercise, give a little background information on how to do certain exercises, or I would talk about certain aspects of physical fitness, that sort of thing. And then when the pandemic hit, everything shut down, gyms and everything, so we started doing personal training videos for our clients that would we would post these on the Integrity Training Systems Facebook page. And then it was called 30 days working out or something like that, and so they would pay like a certain amount. I think it was $100 for like 30 days, and at the time we had 7 trainers working for us, and so each trainer took a day of the week, and we did an exercise video that day, and then so people who paid in would check in, and we would teach them via internet.
It would be things that people could do from their house.
Exactly.
And a lot of your videos, all the videos you do from your home are just, you're not really using much weight. Talk about that, because you're not really using a lot of equipment. You're kind of just using stuff around the house.
Body weight, anything you can find. Chairs. I go into a couple of here that the best things that I have for your legs, and like doing a hamstring curl. I think that's one of the hardest is getting a hamstring curl and getting like your back work. For chest, you can do push-ups, that sort of thing. You can do squats. I even had my wife get on my back, and I would do squats that way with her. But as far as hamstrings, doing like a hamstring curl is kind of tough. So getting a pair of sliders, furniture sliders, from the. You can buy them for $10 from a hardware store, and you lie down flat, put your heels on the slider, you lift your hips up, put your legs in and out.
Do you have a video showing that?
Yeah, this one right.
I need some work on my hamstrings and my lower body. I just started working out, and
that's it.
me and Shane are gonna do a push-up contest.
All right.
Competition. So we're gonna do like 90 days of maybe 100 push-ups.
Nice.
You think?
Sure.
You think you can handle that? Okay.
90 days?
That's 3 months of push-ups. I saw videos that people are like, pretty ripped after 90 days of push-ups.
It's quite the commitment, but I'm down for it.
Okay, let's see if we got to. The internet's slow when we all this stuff streaming, and
I'd imagine what would happen is I would do like 60 days, and I'd be like, I'm pretty satisfied with how that went, and I would quit, and I would just get right back in the worst shape as when I started. That's how it normally goes. I get little spurs of motivation, and then it dies
This is
out.
what it looks like.
Oh, okay. So you put the slider. I see now.
Yeah.
Oh.
And what muscles is this working out?
Well, when you do it that way, when you lift your hips up and you're getting your gluteals involved, you're getting your deep core and your hamstrings.
Okay.
Right on.
So that's basically the
yeah, you can buy like a pack of those things for pretty cheap.
Oh
right?
yeah, I think furniture movers for I think I checked the price out at Ace Hardware, and it was like less than $10.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing, you can go to like a sports supply store online, and I guarantee you'll pay 4 times as much. But they're essentially the same thing.
Right.
So you can kind of have the same effect with those as you would with like that roller. Have you ever seen that roller with the one wheel?
In fact, not only do I have an actual roller, but I think I've got one up here where I'm doing chest work using the pads.
Now, how often should somebody work out if they do these kind of workouts from their house? What's a good time length on that?
As much time as you want to get to it. Most of your people like ACSM, NASM, the Cooper Institute, that sort of thing, the people who do the stuff that we do in the gym and actually do research on it, they recommend at least twice a week. Now, there have been studies, especially people who are older, senior citizens and whatnot, that if they work out once a week, they're going to see physical fitness improvement. But if you're really wanting to see change and development,
right,
at least twice a week, 3, 4. Personally, I work out 6 days a week, and even if you're just doing it at home, it's all about time under stress. You want to exercise those muscles to the point where they're too fatigued, so that at night when you rest, that's when you're going to build it back up.
So would you say the best time to do it would be in the evening or right when you wake up?
There've been studies, and they've shown one thing over another, but I think I'll answer that question the way I do I get a lot of people who come in and they'll say, what's the best leg exercise? What's the best chest exercise? I could show you, and if you're not willing to do it, it's not going to do you a bit of good. So you've got to find that which you're going to do and do that, because that is going to do you much better, more good than if you find this great exercise, but then you don't do it.
Right.
And it's the same way with working out what time of day. You could. There's studies that show first thing in the morning. There's studies that show in the evening. But mainly it's whenever you can do it and what's a good time for you. And just like Nike says, just do it.
Right.
Find a good time that's compatible with your schedule and do it.
So if you're working out like multiple days in a row, do you alternate muscle groups depending on the day? Okay.
Yes,
so you don't want to work out the same muscle group twice in a row.
If you're working out like say 3 days a week, you can get by with doing like a full body workout.
Right.
But you want to have your muscles to rest at least a full day in between each workout. So for example, myself, I'll do legs on Monday.
Yeah.
I'll do chest and back on Tuesday and Thursday. I do shoulders on Wednesday. I do arms on Friday, and then on Sunday, I really hit my abs. I mix in my abs another 3 days, so I do my abs 4 days a week, mixing them in with other muscle groups. So, yeah, but to answer your question, yes, you definitely want to stagger your muscle groups so you're not working them back to back, because you reach a point of diminished returns where you're not going to really be building anymore. You've basically fried that muscle. And not only are you not going to develop, but also you're going to risk injury because those muscles will be tired and you're not going to be able to do the amount or quality of work day by day by day as if you were to give them a rest. That's something, I'll just throw this in here, sure. That's something that we have learned from the East. In the West, it's always
East,
been...
West Coast you're talking?
Pardon?
East, West Coast, you mean?
No. East as far as United States versus like Asia, Russia, that sort of thing. Okay. We in the West here, it's always been, like get in the gym, work. And you have to work. That I'm not saying that. You have to work, you have to put in the hours and but not up until recently, not a whole lot has been said about resting. And see that building muscle is an anabolic and a catabolic cycle. When you get into the gym, it's a catabolic sense. You're actually breaking the muscle down. That's where you want to. That's why you want to go to fatigue, because fatigue, you're actually causing trauma to the muscle tissue, so it's breaking down. And then at night when you sleep, that's when the muscle builds itself back up. So that's the anabolic phase. In the gym, it's catabolic. You're breaking the muscle down. At night when you sleep and rest, that's the anabolic phase. That's when it builds back up. So what we were learning in the West was we were pounding our body so much, we were not giving it enough downtime in order for it to rebuild. And then so you'd get back into the gym and your body is still tired and you're not able to perform at your peak proficiency. So the East, when they train, they really emphasize downtime. They emphasize things like ginseng that will help you with the resting process and taking it down. There's a lot of cultures like England and Italy, Spain, Japan in particular, that they actually build in downtimes during their days. So in the workout periods, that's already ingrained into their mind, their philosophy and their mindset. And just recently, within the last, 10, 15 years, we've really realized that, hey, we're working ourselves to death, and we need to give our bodies a chance to rest, recuperate, and build. So that's very important.
Well, like, how long do they rest for? Like, what's their rest period?
Well, it goes back to answering your question, is allowing enough time between muscle groups that you work out in order to give it enough time to recuperate. So, like, I only work out my legs once a week because they're a big muscle group. Larger muscles, it takes more time to recuperate. There have been studies by the Czech Institute, Charles Poliquin. Those are just two names I throw out. That these are like the gurus. These are the personal trainers. These are the guys we go to learn. And if you really give your legs a really good solid workout, you can get by with 1 day a week and see very sufficient gains. And so then I work out my chest and back on Tuesday, and then I go to Wednesday. That's my shoulders. That's totally different. I'm not using anything that I just used the day before. Then I'll go back to chest and back on Thursday. And the reason why I do that, it's a larger muscle group, so it can take more pounding. And plus, by using, whenever you do most chest exercises, you're pushing. So you're not only using your chest, but your anterior deltoids and also your triceps. And then when you do most back exercises, you're pulling.
Right, yeah.
So you're using not only the back musculature, but the rear shoulder and the biceps. So I will, at that point, I will go on Friday and do my arms, my triceps and biceps, but because you're utilizing a compound movement and doing your chest and your back, the biceps are kicking in, but they're being assisted by like your shoulders and back or chest respectively. So I feel good that I can do a single joint exercise like a curl or a tricep push down on Friday, and I'm not really putting much stress on those muscles that I used the prior day and working my chest and back.
So the reps that you do it till your muscle feels fatigued? I mean,
yes.
Is that what you're doing? You're not counting, you're just kind of doing until you feel fatigue in that muscle group?
Well, this will show you how things have changed. When I first started out in training 21 years ago, there was a set, and it was like every body has two kinds of muscle fiber. You have fast twitch muscle fiber, you have slow twitch muscle fiber. Instead of twitch, you can substitute the word twitch for fatigue. So there's fast fatigue and there's slow fatigue. The fast twitch muscle, they have two types. There's a type 1 and a type 2. Type 1 is it has a little bit of an endurance quality to it, so you can get more reps out. And then there's a type 2 that is just total strength. The guys that you see that are power lifters that can squat like 500 pounds or leg press over a half a ton, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They usually can only get like 1 to 5 or 6 reps in when you're going that heavy. Well, that way you're using mainly the fast twitch type 2. Now, when you're into bodybuilding, the hypertrophy, the building of the muscle and getting it bigger, then you're utilizing mainly the fast twitch type 1, and that usually falls within about an 8 to 12 rep. It might go down into about a 6 rep to 12 rep, but mainly 8 to 12 reps. And yeah, you go to fatigue, and then to get your slow twitch, that's the slow fatiguing, that's the endurance. There's a reason why marathoners and triathletes have like a really lean build.
You're right.
It's because they're loaded with slow twitch muscle fibers. They're good at endurance, and so you can by lifting more repetitions, you're getting more into the slow twitch muscle. Now, that was the old way of thinking. You had 1 to 5 reps, you're in the slow twitch or fast twitch type 2.
Right.
6 to 12, mainly 8 to 12, you're in the fast twitch 1, and then 13 and above, you're into the slow twitch. But more and more research is being done that shows if you take something, and this is really important, like when you're at home, because when you're in the gym and you've got all this massive weight, you can just keep picking up heavier dumbbells or putting plates on a barbell and really, go to the max on the weight. But when you're at home, you're limited with body weights, very little. Most people have a few hand weights lying around or an exercise ball or something like that. Mm-hmm. So how can you develop when you're at home? Well, that's where this new recent research has come in, and they're showing that if you work a muscle, the two most important things in any exercise program is fatigue and form. And your body does not know numbers. I mean, if I'm doing a bench press, it does not know. My muscles do not know if I'm bench pressing 100 pounds or 50 pounds. Mm-hmm. But what it does know is form and fatigue. And so you want to do the best possible form you can. Number one, so you don't get hurt. Number two, so that you're going to exercise that muscle or groups of muscle in such a way that you're going to maximize the benefit of that exercise. And then, you want to take it to fatigue, whether it's taking you 8 reps or 20 reps or 40 or more. If you're going to fatigue, what science is finding out that you're utilizing all of the fast twitch 2, the fast twitch 1, the slow twitch, because what happens is, again, if you exchange the term twitch for fatigue, the fast twitch type 2 is going to fatigue first. And then it's going to, after that's fatigued, then it'll go into the fast twitch 1. After that fatigues, then it's going to go into the slow twitch. And then when you fatigue the slow twitch muscle, your muscles are spent. They are fatigued. They've run out of ATP, which is the energy booster for the muscles, and you got to rest to have that ATP build back up. So by doing, that's what I emphasize in my videos for the home videos, is that as long as you're doing good form and to fatigue, you're going to develop.
Right. Is there any like at-home exercises that you saw online or anything that you like disapproved of or thought was really dumb? Because I know I was watching a video where this guy I think it was a TikTok or whatever. And he's like, these are like really simple at-home exercises you can do, and he grabs like a hand towel, and he throws it around the door handles, like an open door down both, and he starts doing pull-ups. I'm like, that sounds really cool and all, but I'm worried that my door handles are going to fly off or I'm going to lose grip.
Well, that's when you got to get a really good solid door. In fact, it's funny you should mention that, because I do home videos for people that have limited space and
equipment.
And I have actually used that, and it's good. But it's like you said, you've really got to get a good sturdy door, or if you want to loop it around a pole or something, and it works. I mean, I've tried it, and it works. Something that I don't want to get into brand names, but there are suspension trainers out there. I'm sure you know a few. The most popular one is the color code is in as black and yellow, and you can buy those things for like $120, $150. But as I showed on one of my videos, I said earlier that the back is probably the hardest thing to get when you don't have exercise equipment.
Right.
Yep.
All those things. The generic term for those that I just mentioned is a suspension trainer. And basically all it is, it's something that's hanging up, anchored high up on your ceiling, will suspend your body. And you're using your body weight for that. And there was one video that I had here where I showed you how to make your own suspension trainer. It's like if you want to go out and buy one, that's fine. But for a fraction of the cost, I think I figured it out, for less than $20, you get some good heavy-duty rope that will hold up a certain amount of poundage, and a PVC piping for the handles, and you can tie it up. And I made two of them. I made one for the upper body that's going to hang down about my waist high, and then I did another one that was longer, that hung about, so it's only about 8 inches off the floor. And that's the one I use for a lot of core work and different exercises for the legs and that sort of thing.
Do you have the video that we could see?
Oh, gosh, I don't know if I kind of can find that one or not.
Because I just started working out, and I'm not one that wants, like, I guess my thing is I don't look like I should be in a gym yet, so I want to kind of want to get to a certain point before I go to a gym, and I think a lot of people probably feel the same way when they first start working out that I do at this point. Is I don't want to be the fat guy in the gym that somebody's videotaping doing everything wrong.
Right.
I think people like nowadays are being a lot more forgiving about that, though, because like
I think so
you'll
too.
see somebody like out of shape, and like it makes sense for them to be in the gym. At least they're like doing something about it.
Oh, I'm looking. There's that. There's the video I did on the. Oh well, it's not going to show it now. Let me get right in the middle where I showed it.
Does your wife tape your videos?
There. See, I got that towel. I'm looping around my banister.
Oh, I'd be worried.
Yeah. See.
Well, you got to check it out.
You got to
check it out. But see,
sure
the more you lean back, the more you put your feet toward the base, the more difficult it's going to be. So yeah, by pulling in, for palms up, you're going to emphasize the bicep. So that's a good way to do a bicep curl. And then if you turn it over and you do it, then that's going to get more your back. So it's all in the way. See, yeah, by putting my feet right up close to the anchor, Your
That's when I start to get nervous. right about there.
That's use a pole would be.
Okay, let's see if I can get back to where I found my. Yeah, and then you can go down to a single arm.
So these suspension things that you're talking about, are those anchored into the ceiling, or do they loop around a door? Or
There are so many ways you can anchor those things, and I guess I don't have it on here. I was scrolling through, though, when I was at the gym, and I saw the picture of one. Is it it? Okay, if you look over my right shoulder, right there,
yeah,
that's a suspension trainer. That's one of the brand name ones, but like I said, you can make it. And I'd have to look, you know, if your writers, if your audience write in and they want to, or they text you or whatever, and they say that they want one and know how to make it, and if they don't want to buy one, then I'd be glad to look up that video and send it to them. But I don't want to waste any more time looking for it. But mainly it's you can buy anchors for, like I have in my downstairs, I have a floor joist up here, and I think they're held in by two pretty awesome bolts. They're about, I don't know, 3 inches deep and about a 1/2 inch round. So it's up there. You don't have to worry about pulling it out.
Yeah.
Or you can get, what are they called? It's an eyelet screw. I'm sure you've seen them. There's like a circle, and then they have a screw that you screw in. Mm-hmm. If you go to the hardware store, they are rated by poundage, like how much weight they're going to take. I mean, you can get a smaller one that's only going to hold up about 200 pounds. Shoot, if you can get one of those thick ones, and they'll hold up 300, 400, 500 pounds. So it might not be a bad idea if you want to anchor that way, is to get that, because when you put more force on it, and particularly the exercise, then we get into physics here, and you start multiplying the force times the velocity. That's going to increase the mass that's holding onto that screw. Okay. So I would go with a heavier anchor.
Right.
To get, so if you're going to go the home route, that's one route that you can buy. It's just get one of those big eyelet screws and screw it into a good baseboard. I wouldn't go the stud route, because we're talking about a 2x4 versus an actual floor joist board, and that way you're going to have a lot more lumber to screw into. It's going to be better anchored. You don't have to be worrying about falling on your head or on your back or something.
Yep.
But
well, talk about just a little bit, so with the pandemic that happened last year, just talk about the hit that you guys took, just being a personal trainer, and then does it feel like it's coming back yet? I mean, does it feel like they're slowly? What would you say the percentage is from what it was back a year ago?
Oh gosh, well, now see, there you go with different counties. Different counties have different county executives. So here in St. Louis County, Sam Page, he's a doctor, so he's very scientific in and he's being very cautious and throwing open the doors and saying, let's just do whatever. Like in Franklin County is where our headquarter gym is, and in O'Fallon, and their county executive has just they've allowed them to be more lax, and so now they're safe. I'm not saying that they have tons of people in there like you would at a Bally's or a Gold's Gym or something like that. It's a private gym, and the only people that are in there are the trainers and their clients. So they still have plenty of social distancing, and they are very clean. I mean, Debbie would make sure that it's clean. So they're wiping everything down with the disinfectant. They have the ultraviolet lights that they turn on through the gym throughout the night. So I have no fear walking in there, even if I don't wear a mask. But as far as we're concerned here in St. Louis County, we're still having masks in the gym and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of people that are still apprehensive about going into public places like that. So When it first hit about this time last year, and things closed down, I mean, the gym I work at was down until July 1st. That was the first day that it opened back up.
Wow.
And of course, nobody was going to the gym, and that's when these videos came out.
Yeah.
And we were leading people in personal training sessions at their home, and slowly people started coming back. And I think most of the trainers out there at O'Fallon, they have a pretty full schedule now with their clientele. Mm-hmm. With me, about half of mine came back and are doing it live with me in the gym. I've worked out with clients in their homes. A lot of them are working out virtually. Mm-hmm. Just as a side note, it's kind of this virtual training has really opened up doors, because I have a client that I train at 7 o'clock in the morning in New Delhi, India.
Wow, that's
cool.
That is really cool. So it's like, of course, it's only 5:30 in the afternoon over there.
Right.
So yeah, I'll dial her up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and there she is. She's in her home, ready to work out, and I take her through the routines. So it's really it's going to be interesting. I think the pandemic and having to make do with what we have is really going to change the face in a lot of things. And I think probably we're going to see more and more virtual training sessions. Mm-hmm. And really that's good, because, for example, if a person goes on vacation, used to, they would cancel and have to reschedule and that sort of thing. Well, now, if they want to, they can take me into the gym with them. They can set their phones up. They can give me a scan of the gym that they're working at and what the equipment is. And right there, I can train them wherever they're at in the world. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, yeah, it's still my clientele that I work out in the gym personally is still pretty scanty.
It was amazing, because the first month when it closed down, and then when we first started seeing people again, maybe 2 months later, everybody I knew had a little bit of baby fat on them. So it just shows you just not moving around, being mobile, how much people gained weight during that pandemic. So
and I'll give credit to Debbie, because she was the one that spurred us on, and it was a group effective sort of thing. We all agreed to do this for that very reason, because people, there's a lot of people I'm sure that have good intentions, and they wanted to work out and continue to work out. They just didn't know what to do. So that's where we came in, and we were able to use our imaginations and creativity and use, whatever they had. The suspension trainers or hand weights, or personally, I don't have a lot at my house, and I still work out at my house sometimes. And for example, to get more weight to add to a body weight, I've got this old gym bag, and I'll just load it up with whatever weight I have, books, or I've got a couple of kettlebells. I throw that in there, and then I put that bag on my back, and I do push-ups with it.
Oh man!
And then to get my back, I've got a suspension trainer, so I can use that for rows and that sort of thing.
Do you do a lot of cardio? Are you a cardio guy?
There again, it's changed. It's back when I first started out. The ACSM, which is the American College of Sports Medicine, was suggesting that you work out at least 3 days a week with cardio, and you need to work out at a minimum of 20 minutes, and ideally 20 to 60 minutes to get that heart rate up and that sort of thing.
20 to 60 minutes?
20 to 60 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
To get that cardio up and have an endurance thing. Now they said they said you can, as long as you don't have to work out hard, but just at a constant pace. You could go out and walk around your neighborhood for half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever, and as long as it was above your normal heart rate, something that's going to increase your heart rate a little bit and make it a little bit more challenging, you're going to be good. And I have a client now who just got off of cardiac rehab, and he still does that. But again, science is coming along now. They've always said the best way to work your heart is to do it in intervals. In other words, really intense interval training and really intense, a moment of really high intensity, and then drop it down to a little bit less. And now you have programs called HIIT, H-I-I-T, high intensity interval training. Now that's always been the case. This interval training has always been there. And the idea is you want to exercise your cardiac muscle in such a way where it's always being challenged. So you pump it up a little bit and then you drop it back down. And personally, I work out with cardio 5 days a week, and I only work out 4 minutes. Have you ever heard of the Tabata protocol?
I heard the name. I have no idea what it is, though. Teach me.
It is a butt kicker. It's. I don't think Tabata, he's obviously a Japanese doctor. I don't think he invented it, but he's the one that did a lot of study on it and popularized it, so he got the honor of having his name. Basically what it is, it's 8 cycles of 20 seconds and 10 seconds. So in 20 seconds, you're working out just as hard as you can. So if 1 is really super easy and 10 is super difficult, think 12.
Ooh.
That's where you want to really push it as hard as you can for 20 seconds. Then for 10 seconds, you rest. Now, it's either complete rest or you can just lightly move to keep it a little bit, keep your joints and muscles going. And then you hit it again. 20 seconds, 10, 20 seconds, 10. You do that 8 times, and that's 4 minutes. Now, 1 complete 8 cycle set, that's 4 minutes. That's tough. If you really want to push yourself, then you go in immediately and do 2, 3, 4, how many cycles you want to do. But I'm being satisfied with just 1, and I'm getting a really good workout. And I was wondering when I first started this, I said, is this enough? Because in my mind, I still had the old ACSM, I got to work out 30, 40 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever. But it was interesting. I had, I got a checkup one time, and I had a little bit of work done. And while I was lying there in the waiting room waiting to go in, they had a monitor on my hand, and they had the a screen set up and taking my pulse and everything like that. And the nurse comes along, she looks at the monitor, and she was tapping it, and it's like, what is going on? And my heart rate was so low and my pulse rate was so low, she had to recalibrate the machine so that the machine was reading it. So I had been doing, at that point, I had been doing the Tabata protocol for about a year. And that told me that I was, and everybody, all the doctors that take my blood pressure and pulse rate and that sort of thing, they say I have a really excellent heart rate. I think my resting heart rate when I was at the hospital was 51, and the normal is anywhere between 76, 80, and 100, something like that. So the more in shape you are, the more efficient your heart is pumping the blood, so it takes less beat per minute to get the blood through. So now that was in the hospital when I had to walk up from my car, get in the hospital. I'm a little bit anxious about what's going to happen. So my pulse rate was a little bit higher. If I were to take an actual resting heart rate, like when I was still laying in bed and I first woke up, I would probably imagine it's in the mid to high 40s, something like that. So that, and I don't say that to say, oh, look at him, he's really in shape. No, I just use that as an example that to prove mainly to myself that 4 minutes, if you really do this Tabata protocol seriously, you're going to get a great cardiovascular workout.
I probably need to start jogging first before I try to do that, because I'd have a heart attack or something.
Yeah, seriously,
so
build up that base.
Build up the base
and then
first.
And then you don't have to do all 8 cycles. Just do like 1 cycle, 2 cycles.
Okay.
Gradually build up.
Do you have a video of that on that you've done that on?
I have.
If you do, send it to me. That way I can see how you do it. That way I can get visual and I can just.
Okay.
Because I do want to get to that point where I am kind of like doing that high intensity kind of workout.
Now, I will say that I do it at the gym, and I use an elliptical. And the reason why I use an elliptical is because, first of all, it's self-motivated. I have to supply the power. Second reason I use it is because a treadmill, it takes a while to get up to the workout speed. Yep. And then it takes another while to go back down. But with the elliptical, I mean, it's like as soon as it hits, I can go.
Right.
And you don't need equipment. Like when I do my Tabata protocol at home, I get usually 4 exercises that I do. Like I'll do, favorite that I do is I'll do, the first cycle is jump squats. Then I'll do jumping jacks. Then I'll do knee highs, where you're running with your knees really as high as you can. Mm-hmm. And then I do what is called a split. It's called a split jump squat. It's a split lunge. It's where you do a lunge, you jump up, switch legs, do a lunge,
okay.
jump. And so I'll do those 4 for the first 4 cycles, and then I repeat them to get my 8. And you can get a really good workout just
in 4 minutes. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
My least favorite workout ever is burpees. I anytime somebody mentions the word burpees, I roll my eyes because I hate them so much.
You did burpees at the studio or something, didn't you, when you came?
Yeah.
And
Burpees are really good. They would work very well in one of those segments of Tabata, but they are killer.
I'm sure they're great for me. I'm just not a.
Well, if it hurts, it's probably good for you.
I'm not a fan of actually doing them.
Yeah,
but yeah. Has anybody ever told you something along the lines of doing too much cardio before a workout is like detrimental to like muscle growth? Because somebody told me that before, and it sounded like a myth.
It's not really the aspect of muscle growth per se. It's more along the lines of the intensity of your workout. Okay. Because, and there again, that's been an argument too. If I do cardio and strength training on the same day, which one should I do first? Mm-hmm. And years ago, there was a thing that said you do your strength training first, because that's going to utilize all the carbohydrates and calories that are in your stomach, and then when you get into the cardio, then you're burning fat. Well, I don't know. Right. I think that's pretty well been debunked. What it really boils down to is, what do you as an individual want to emphasize? Are you more into cardio? Are you more into strength training, wanting to build and that sort of thing? So whichever one you want to emphasize, that's the one you do first. Mm-hmm. Because yes, there is, if you do cardio first, your strength training is going to suffer because you're worn out. I mean, even though if you're on a treadmill running, you're technically using slow twitch muscles, but it's still the full muscle that's getting involved. So then if you get off the treadmill and you go over to the squat rack and try to do some squats, you're really going to have to cut down the weight, because you're just not going to be able to do that amount and as vigorously and rigorously as if you were to go in cold and just do the strength training part first.
Now, you mentioned earlier you don't want to work out like the same muscle groups. Like you want to do one thing, then move on to something else the other day, and so on and so on. Is that the same way with cardio? Like you don't want to do cardio every day, or is that? Can you be a little bit more lenient? With
cardio is more lenient. First of all, you're using more slow twitch muscle. So slow twitch muscle can really take a pounding. I mean, that's why the Kenyans they run. They look at our 26.2 mile marathons and they go, hold my beer, and they run 50 plus. And now that's becoming quite the thing now. It's like 26.2, that's a nice earmark. 50? But then they go into these uber marathons where they're running, 50, 60, 100 miles.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And there's one, I've got a dear friend. She's a personal trainer. She just got into running, about 10 years ago. That lady, one part of me wants to scream at her, "You're nuts," but then there's another part that I have the utmost respect for. But she does this thing. It's once a year in a 24-hour period. They start at like 7 o'clock on a Friday night and they go to 7 o'clock on a Saturday night, and they just run as far as you can. And she doesn't do too bad. She says she'll run for a while and then she'll stop, take a breather, maybe, you know, get something to eat, whatever, maybe sleep. But then she'll go on, she'll run. So it's as much as you can run within a 24-hour period. To date, I looked that up. The record is held, I think, by an Englishman, or at least it was. He ran 300 miles plus in a 24-hour period.
Wow.
Wow.
So
that's hard to believe.
It is.
It's really hard to believe.
But that'll answer your question in that because, you know, a person can run 300 miles or more in a 24-hour period, that means that those muscles can really take a lot of pounding. So yeah, to answer your question, you can do cardio every day if you want.
Yeah. So like my workouts and I'm not an expert in physical fitness by any means, but my workouts consisted when I was working out was I would do a 2-mile jog to start as like a warm up. And then I would work out upper body, and then the next day I would do the same 2-mile jog and then work out lower body. And then the day after that I would work out like my core.
Yeah.
So I'd work out 5 days a week, and that would basically be my regimen. I would switch off between upper body, lower body, and core, and do a 2-hour jog, or not 2-hour, 2-mile jog.
Right.
At the start of every day to warm up.
Right.
Is that good?
No,
or
that
bad?
was good.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to you could come to me and I could make out a workout schedule. I said, I guarantee if you do this, you're going to have great physical gains. But if you're not going to do it,
yeah,
it's
right.
not going to do you a bit of good. So it all goes back to the main thing is, what am I going to do? And if as long as you're doing something is always better than nothing. And what you just described to me, that's a pretty good workout.
You hear that, people? Everybody that was watching my last podcast.
Do you
that's so dumb.
Do you ever go in like the pool and do laps or anything with water? Do you ever do water workouts?
I don't. I never was much of a swimmer when it came to utilizing water as a workout. I even got a specialized certification in, training people in the water and utilizing different things. And I had a few people that trained, but I never taught a water aerobics class or anything like that. And personally, I've never used water for working out, but it's an excellent way of exercising.
Well, it's supposed to be good for joints, but tell me what you were telling me one time. I think we were at the studio that when you work out your joints, it gets lubrication with the at each of your major joints, there's a little sac of skin called a bursa sac, and inside of those bursa sac they contain what is called synovial fluid, which is the body's natural lubricant. And the way to get that lubricant out and in your joints is to move. That's why if you sit for a while and you get up and you're like, oh gosh, and after you every day,
and after you get up and you move a little bit, then you feel
better,
looser. Remember,
right.
So that's
so work that helps just your people with bad joints and maybe arthritis. Just doing these types of workouts, not real heavy, but will help their joints because you're lubricating.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
You're moving it. You're keeping it lubricated. Also, with arthritic people who have arthritis, I should say, when you have arthritis, there's a cartilage, which is the slick part of. You ever eaten a chicken bone or a chicken leg? There's that real slick part. Well, that's the cartilage. That's at a joint, and that makes it so bones. You don't have bone on bone. It's slick. It'll move. So cartilage, in addition to the synovial fluid, lubricates that joint. However, through wear and tear, that cartilage wears thin, and you eventually have bone on bone, and then that creates bone spurs. And those little bone spurs are the things that stick into the muscle tissue and the soft tissue around it, and that's what causes pain. So if you've got, for example, the femur, the thigh bone, and then the tibia, which is the shin bone, and they're like this, and the cartilage has worn away, and you've got bone on bone, and you're scraping, creating bone spurs, then that's pain. and a lot of people say that they stop it. They stop any movement. Well, that makes it worse. So if a person has arthritis, really strength training is good. And here's why. If you already have your pressure of that bone on bone, it's causing extreme pain. If you can exercise the muscles around that joint, for example, a knee joint, and I'm not saying lift heavy weights, I'm not saying even go through the full range of motion, but if they do a squat, if they hold on to like the back of a chair or a pole or something, or a kitchen sink. Kitchen sink is ideal because you've got a handle there almost.
Yeah.
And they can assist themselves in doing a squat. And then when their muscles build up to the point where they can let go of the sink and just do a body weight squat, you just go as deep as you can and with as much weight as you can, and you can always gradually build up. I mean, that's the whole point with anybody. It's progressive resistance. Start out doing what you can do, and then you can always add and do more. That's in regards to range of motion as well as weight and resistance. And so what happens is you build that musculature up around that joint. So now, before you have bone on bone and you have the body weights that's pressing down really hard, causing extreme pain. But then when you build up that musculature around that joint, then the muscle is actually going to help support those bones and alleviate some of that pressure on that joint. So yeah, that's a good thing, as well as, getting the synovial fluid to be released and lubricate it.
Now that stuff can't regenerate, right? Like with our arthritis, for example,
or cartilage,
or the synovial fluid, or cartilage as well. I guess
I don't know about. I don't. There goes the second law of thermodynamics, which says things tend to go from organization to disorganization.
Right.
And that's one of the best proven laws of science, because you look in the mirror and every day you see proof of it. Once you get a gray hair or a wrinkle or something like that, it's like, yep, there's a second law right there.
Yeah.
And so it's I would say, without having really done a lot of research into the synovial fluid and that sort of thing, that I'm sure that it, for lack of a better way of putting it, dries up. There's a person, I think, in their 50s or 60s or 70s is going to have less than like a person in their 20s. Don't take that to the bank. I haven't researched that out. But the point is, I do know with everything, if there's a certain age curve that people go through, and everybody's going to go through it, but when you eat healthy and work out, you're going to be pushing that age curve back, so that when you're older and you compare yourself, like in your 50s, 60s, 70s, to a person who, and you work out, and you compare that to a person who doesn't work out, I guarantee you're going to look younger, feel younger, act younger, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And remember, it's good for the brain too. I mean, Alzheimer's and dementia, one of the ways to fight that is to work out, because
you get increased blood flow.
Increased blood flow to the brain.
Right?
There's all kinds of things that are going on in the brain when you work out that challenge it. Just in the same way that when you work puzzles or crossword puzzles, or that Sudoku or Sudoku, that number puzzle, it rearranges the brain, and it would be interesting to see if get a person that have electrodes onto their brain and see what happens when they work out. I'm sure if you YouTube it, you could probably find something like that. But yeah, it's good for the brain too.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would assume that joint damage is something that it's not really. It's hard to heal from. I feel like I'd assume that joint damage is all basically permanent, but I'm not a doctor. But obviously, like you said, there's stuff that you could do to help it.
And
assuming
they're
that you
doing
do
more
lose.
and more research with stem cells now, and so I read, and I don't think they're quite there yet, but it's going to get to the point where, if your cartilage is worn away in your knee or your shoulder or wherever, they're going to be able to use stem cells and regrow that. I mean, it's amazing the stuff that's coming out of research with stem cell research.
Yeah, from what I've heard, a lot of professional athletes that have like serious muscle tears or serious damage to like their muscles or joints, like stem cells. They decrease the recovery time pretty extensively. Yeah. So that I mean, that's an exciting thing to look into for sure. I think they would help out a lot of people.
Oh, you bet. You bet.
Just let the audience know like where we can find these videos, and if they're interested in having you as a personal trainer or a consultant. Do you do consulting? I mean, like, would you consult a person if they don't want a personal trainer? Maybe they just want like a person like an hour that you kind of get them started. Is there do you do stuff like that?
I do anything and everything. I do. Of course, I have my regular clients that I work with on a weekly basis, 2-3 times a week, whatever. I have people that work out with me once a month. You know, that's also a little bit more cost effective because personal training is expensive. But I have this one lady that I will make a video for her and show her what she can do at home, and then I send it to her, and she does that for a month, and then she contacts me through texting and says, I'm ready for another video. So there are so many things. It's very viable. A lot of people think personal training and they think the Hollywood stars, and I'm going to have to spend, thousands and thousands of dollars. But you don't have to. There are ways that we can work with you, and you can have a personal trainer, and that's really very economical.
Okay. And we can put your information at the bottom of the video, but I took up an hour of your time, so we'll have to, next time you come on, we'll talk about your acting, and you can bring some clips and stuff that we can go in some. We can talk about Thanksgiving.
Sure. Oh, gosh,
we'll have a lot of drama to talk about with Thanksgiving. I was actually thinking about doing a reunion show, some people from Thanksgiving on this podcast. Would you be interested in coming on that?
Sure.
Okay. Well, we'll do that. And so, Forrest, thank you so much for coming by.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, and not this Saturday, but next Saturday, we are having our speakeasy private party. Shane, what is the private word to get into the party?
Well, I can't just throw that out there. It's secret for a reason, right?
Well, the people watching are able to come to the party. What's the secret word?
Was it frog legs?
Well, it was frog legs and vanilla diamonds.
Yeah, vanilla diamonds and frog legs.
Okay.
Classic.
We're having you're welcome to stop by. We're having a